Hey everyone, welcome to the RotoGrinders Morning Grind podcast. I'm your host, Stevietpfl. It's Thursday. It's August 8th. It is 2024. We have a 5-game MLB slate to talk about here on today's podcast. Small slate, riding solo today for this one, and can't talk, it sounds like. So always fun when you can't talk and you're doing a podcast, but hope everyone is having a fantastic Wednesday night. It's actually Thursday morning now on the East Coast, recording kind of late. Got distracted, was doing some NASCAR work, and, lost track of time. And what's funny is, like, you lose track of time, and, like, you have a computer that shows you the time, and you're always looking at your phone, and I have an Apple Watch. So... overall, you don't really lose track of time. You just get busy and you don't pay attention, I guess. So 5 games, and let's talk some baseball. We start in New York. We have LA at the New York Yankees, 8.5 total in this one. LA Angels, that is. New York's a 290 favorite. Tyler Anderson against Nestor Cortez in this one. Hopefully the weather is going to be okay. And this one, I know they've been dealing with some rain up there, so we'll have to kind of see. But Tyler Anderson is where we'll start. 18% strikeout rate on the season. Really has done a good job of kind of limiting the damage this year overall. He is somebody that, typically has pretty good command, doesn't typically get blown up, will give up 1 to 3 runs in an inning or in a game in an outing. Very, very rare to see him give up like 5 or more runs. So Tyler Anderson, 8,500 though, against the Yankees, easy pass for me. It'll be interesting to see what this Yankees lineup looks like against the left-handed pitching. So overall, I think I'm going to stay away from Tyler Anderson in this one. Nestor Cortez on the other side. I like Cortez here. Obviously, they have some right-handed hitters in this lineup that hit left-handed pitching. Pilar, Adele, Ohape, Zach Nato. They hit left-handed pitching, but Nestor Cortez, I think, is underpriced at 7,900 today. Pitching is okay. It's not awful. It's not great. It's okay. So I think we could take some shots today. I don't necessarily want to play Kevin Gausman against Baltimore. Brian Wu. We'll talk about him. I hate the pitch count limitations for him, but I obviously like the spot a lot for him. As far as bats in this one, on the Angels side, it is a smaller slate, 5-game slate. So with Ward out of the lineup, it just kind of overall hurts the stack. So I don't necessarily want to stack the Angels. If you want to chase a home run with like Pilar, Ohape, or Joe Adele, I think that's what you're looking at here. Adele's really cheap. He's like 3,300. He has a 375 ISO against left-handed pitching this season. So big power against lefties this year for Adele. On the Yankees side, I like the Yankees. I think that they're definitely a team we could play. Like I said, Anderson isn't someone that typically gets blown up, but we have some bats in this Yankees lineup that I think you could take shots on. Obviously, we got Judge, who you really got to spend up for, but he's just absolutely crushes left-handed pitching. So you like that. I assume that Stanton will be in the lineup. Obviously he offers a lot of upside against lefties. Torres offers a lot of upside against lefties. So I think you could definitely play the Yankees in this spot against Tyler Anderson. But again, he's not a guy that will typically go out and get blown up. Up next, we got Baltimore at Toronto. Kramer against Gausman in this one, 8.5 total. Baltimore is a slight favorite, almost a pick'em type of game here. Toronto did Toronto things on Wednesday night. Baltimore hit the ball a little bit. Kramer, for me, is somewhat interesting. I think that it is a small slate, and pitching on the slate is nowhere near like what we had on yesterday's slate. Kramer is like an average strikeout pitcher. His strikeout rates have really dipped recently, which scares me against a Toronto team that, I mean, they don't strike out a ton. So while I think he's a little bit playable, again, like recently he has been struggling. So he wouldn't be like a lock-in type of guy for me today. I have two pitchers that I like, but yeah. Dean just messaged me and said Kyle Schwarber. I don't know. So there you go. I know Schwarber hit two, right? Did he just hit a third one? So there you go. Good job, Dean. You got one call right out of the 15 guys you liked. All right. Joking aside, but Kevin Gausman on the other side. Baltimore is a very left-handed heavy team, and I mean, I always worry about Gausman because he's just not a guy that's going to go out and dominate lefties. He's a little reverse splitsy throughout his career. My home run call was Pasquantino, and he hit a home run. Don't give Dean all the credit around here. Come on, chat. Dean will come back in a couple weeks. I have him scheduled twice this month, so he'll be back in a couple weeks. We can give him a harder time. But yeah, I mean, Gausman, he's expensive. I'm just kidding, Derek. He's really expensive overall. And he has a really tough matchup. So I think I'm going to stay away from Kevin Gausman today. Bats here. I mean, on the Baltimore side, I got to keep playing my boy Jackson Holiday. You know, I keep saying it. He keeps wanting to prove people wrong that he's a bust. I mean, this is just a guy that I think we just keep playing like every single day. He's hot. I keep talking about like the advanced stuff. It looks fantastic. If you look at his recent stuff, it looks fantastic. So absolutely love Jackson Holiday today. I like O'Hearn. I like Henderson. Baltimore. I mean, I want to keep stacking Baltimore because Toronto's bullpen is not great. And I think they're going to be lower owned here against Gausman just overall. So yeah, I mean, I want to stack Baltimore. I think they're going to be lower owned. So I'm going to play them a little bit here. We're going to talk about like that Philly Arizona game, and I think that's going to get a ton of ownership, which it should. So I think Baltimore is a really interesting pivot. On the Toronto side, again, like Dean Kramer, he has really been struggling recently, but it's been more to lefties than righties. He's always been pitching. Like, he always pitches better against right-handed hitters. So this lineup is very right-handed heavy. I think you could take some shots on maybe like Horwitz, Varsho. Like the lefties for Toronto, very interesting. I think Kramer has a good opportunity to kind of limit the damage against the righty. So I think overall, if you're playing Kramer or playing Toronto bats, you want to play the left-handed bats against Kramer today. Tampa Bay at St. Louis, 8 total in this game. Cardinals, a 132 favorite. Shane Baz, Kyle Gibson facing off in this one. Baz, 7,600, getting the Cardinals. I mean, it's an opportunity. You know, you only get so many opportunities, but I think, like, overall for me, I don't really love Baz. Like, the Cardinals will disappear from time to time. Baz is really good against righties, but I think they can get 6 to 7 lefties in this lineup on a daily basis. So with them getting so many left-handed hitters in this lineup, like, he's really struggled with lefties. Burleson, Donovan, these guys, Newpart, like, they are all major league hitters. So I think Baz is someone I'll leave on the shelf overall. I think I got to play some Kyle Gibson today with the pitching slate that we have and the Toronto lineup as bad as it is. I got to play some Gibson. You don't necessarily have to, but I think this is a spot where he's just okay. I mean, it's the Tampa lineup more than anything else. Like we saw yesterday, Fetty put up 21, I think. 21 fantasy points. Fetty had 6 strikeouts. And you just kind of hope that Gibson could kind of do the same. 20 fantasy points from Gibson, I think, is fine. Top of the lineup, Morel, Lowe, Lau all have upside, but I mean, there's just so many strikeouts in this lineup. Siri, Carlson, Mead, Jackson, Josh Lowe, even like all over like 28% against right-handed pitching this season as far as strikeouts. So like Gibson is not this heavy strikeout pitcher anymore at this point in his career, but I mean, he can go out there and throw. He's going to go out there and throw like 95 plus pitches against Tampa, and I think that's enough to take some shots on him on a slate where pitching's kind of lacking. As far as the Tampa bats, I mean, Brandon Lau is the guy that I would typically look at in this spot. Gibson definitely struggles a little bit more with lefties, so like Lau low, but overall, I'm not excited about playing Tampa bats here. Brandon Lau, like I said, I think he's fine. I kind of have a little bit of interest in the Cardinals. I think they're more of a mini stack more than like a full stack today. Like the left-handed power is really interesting here. Like I said, Baz really struggles with lefties. So like Burleson, Donovan, Nootbaar. If you want to take some shots on like Gorman, because Baz is kind of an average strikeout pitcher, and you want Gorman against guys that are not going to throw or strike out a ton of hitters. And Gorman at 3,400, he has a lot of upside. He went on a stretch where he was just crushing everything, and he stopped hitting. He forgot how to hit. Maybe he went on vacation during the All-Star break and met the Monstars, but he has just lost his ability to hit. I like the upside, but overall, I like the lefties. St. Louis lefties very much. Burleson is one of my favorite hitters on the entire slate today. I love his price tag. I think that this is a spot he has a lot of upside in, and hopefully the Cardinals can just kind of get it going in general in this matchup. Philadelphia at Arizona. No total in this game. It hasn't been like officially announced, but it sounds like Colby Allard will be like the long reliever for Philadelphia in this game. And then Jordan Montgomery pitching for Arizona. I'm not going to touch Allard. He likely won't start. It will likely be an opener, and then like Allard will come in. That's what they've done with him the last 2 times, and I kind of expect the same thing here from Philly. So I don't think this is a spot I want to play a guy that probably only throws 60 to 70 pitches, if I had to guess. And like Arizona, I mean, they have some upside against left-handed pitching. Obviously, they're missing a couple big bats, and I think that overall they're probably a little bit better against right-handed pitching at like this time of the year. But I don't think you can play Allard because we just don't expect him to go too deep in this game. Jordan Montgomery on the other side. I mean, he's trying. He's doing the best he can. His strikeout rate over the last month is 11%. On the season is 14%. Very below average strikeout pitcher here in Arizona. Just not a guy I want to play. I want to load up on the Philadelphia bats in this spot way more than I want to play or even think about really playing Jordan Montgomery today. So looking at the Phillies, I mean, don't be afraid to play some of these lefty-lefty matchups. Schwarber, Harper, like they're very good against left-handed pitching. Trey Turner, Alec Boehm, Nick Castellanos. They have Austin Hayes now from the trade deadline. So absolutely love this spot for Philly. We're going to get a little bit of value here with Castellanos at 3,800. Like I mentioned, they have Hayes, and I was looking. He was really cheap. Oh, I didn't see that he left the game Wednesday. So if he's out of lineup, that kind of stinks. But overall, I still like the stack. But Hayes is 2,900. So if he were to crack the lineup, that would be fantastic. Sosa is someone that I hope they kind of find a lineup spot for today because he is just fantastic against left-handed pitching. He's sitting at a 247 ISO, 392 WOBA this season. So if Sosa is in there, definitely interested in him. I assume they find a lineup spot for him today. If Hayes sits, maybe like Weston Wilson plays the outfield. I know he's kind of like the utility guy. He grades out as a guy that can hit left-handed pitching as well. So watch that because Weston Wilson, say that name 10 times really fast. Weston Wilson is 3,300 if he did crack the lineup instead of Austin Hayes in this one. Arizona side, obviously a lot of interest in Ketel Marte. He is the guy that you really like here. Allard, we saw Allard with Atlanta last year. I mean, he's really solid against left-handed hitters. So I think you want to target the righties here. Even last year, though, like in the small sample size that we saw him, he really struggled with righties. In his 2 starts this year, 250 ISO, 375 WOBA, 52% hard hits to right-handed hitters. So definitely going to stay away from lefties because, I mean, again, I think he's good lefty-lefty, but Suarez, Gurriel, Marte, Josh Bell, all very much in play here against left-handed pitching. Obviously, wish that Walker wasn't hurt, Marino wasn't hurt. Yeah, I mean, the righties probably more of a mini stack than anything else here. Bell is not too bad price-wise. If I would assume that Grichuk cracks the lineup today. Grichuk is 3,400. He hits left-handed pitching well. So I don't mind that. And I know chat's talking about Del Castillo. Lefty, even at 2K. It's a punt catcher, though. Straight up punt catcher. I would assume Herrera catches today, though, which kind of stinks because he is a switch hitter. So we'll have to see. But 2K punt catcher, you already know. I'm in. We finish out Detroit at Seattle. Kenta Maeda is expected to pitch here. This could be another opener situation. We don't have a total for this one, but Kenta Maeda is expected to be the long reliever here. Wu on the other side. Kenta Maeda, not touching him. I mean, I like the Seattle matchup. If he gets announced as like the starter in this spot, and you just want to roll the dice at 6,200 and say maybe he can get me 15 fantasy points, I don't necessarily hate that on this 5-game slate. Seattle, ton of strikeout upside. Obviously, we talk about it all the time. But, I mean, that's what you would be kind of hoping for here is Maeda actually starts, but he's been working on the bullpen and, kind of pitching in relief more than starting. So, I would need Maeda to start. I don't want a long relief Maeda situation. I want him to start here at 6,200. Brian Wu on the other side. I mean, if he was going to pitch deep into the game, he would be the top pitcher on the slate. The pitch count is obviously the biggest concern here. A guy that averages 72 pitches an outing. He threw 90 last time out, 92. That's a really good sign for rostering Brian Wu. I really like this spot for him. I mean, he should control this spot. He's not a heavy strikeout guy, but he's a guy that limits the damage. He doesn't walk hitters. And overall, Detroit doesn't have a good lineup. So I think Brian Wu, Gibson, probably the chalkier combo. Cortez, I think, is going to be pretty popular as well. So, I mean, those are 3 of my favorite pitchers on the slate, too. So, ownership aside. As far as the Detroit bats, I mean, Brian Wu is such a good ground ball guy. Doesn't typically get blown up. Doesn't give up a lot of power. His barrel rate on the year is like 2%. He has one of the lowest barrel rates in baseball. I mean, he's not a guy that typically will give up a lot of home runs. I think he's given up 2 or 3 home runs all year. So I'm just not doing it with Detroit today. On the Seattle side, I think you could play some Seattle. I think they're still somewhat cheap. I was looking a few minutes ago. Yeah, I mean, Seattle's still really cheap. So if you wanted to play some Seattle bats against Maeda is not a guy that's going to go out and overpower anybody at this point of his career. You're taking shots on Maeda because of all the strikeouts. I mean, this team still has a 29% strikeout rate against right-handed pitching, which is still the highest rate in baseball. So, I mean, Rosarina, Justin Turner, Cal Riley, looking for some value elsewhere. Like I think that Seattle, a team that you could take some shots on the slate. Again, like the slate is just it's kind of it's kind of we knew after the pitching slate that we had on Wednesday night we were going to have a much different type of pitching slate here on today's slate. So all right, let's play the morning grind game, and then we'll get out of here. If you haven't already, subscribe to the RotoGrinders Morning Grind YouTube page. What's up, chat? Everyone's having a fantastic time in chat, reading chat as we're going here. One good thing about doing solo podcasts nowadays is I get to hang out with chat. So Derek, Richie, Johnson, who else? Yeezy's in there, Dave, Mochi, Paul, like, yeah, what's up, everyone? Hope you're enjoying the show. All right, morning grind game. Under 8K to get 6 or more strikeouts. Kyle Gibson. Over 8K to score under 15. Dean Kramer. Over 4K to hit a home run. I went back and forth on this one. I mean, I like a lot on the slate, but the one that just kept jumping off the page to me is Alec Bohm. He doesn't not typically like a home run guy. So, yeah, I mean, I like the spot for him. He profiles really well against Jordan Montgomery. So, give me Alec Bohm. Kind of a random one. I feel like it's cheating to keep saying Jackson Holiday is my favorite play under 4K to get 2 hits, but he keeps hitting. Might not be getting 2 hits, but he keeps hitting home runs. I will take the home runs. I think everybody will take the home runs. So I want to just keep going to Jackson Holiday. I mean, Nick Castellanos would be the other one that I really like here overall. So those would be the 2 guys today. Stack to score 6 or more runs. Philadelphia is getting the job done today. The Phillies are going to score some runs in Arizona. They're the away team. We're going to get some runs scored by them. And yeah, I mean, I like them a lot today. Like I was saying, as far as props, I was looking and there wasn't like anything up props wise before I got rolling, so I'm going to see if anything has popped up here. Yeah, still nothing props wise, just posting here. Now, some of the BetMGM is showing that Allard might actually start. So maybe they don't go to an opener situation with him, and we get that. So, yeah, so no bets, no 3-pick parlay, not an like I would be really tempted to like parlay St. Louis. See, New York is just such a heavy favorite in this game that it's really tough to like I if I could do it, it's not available for me. I take if I'm assuming that the Phillies Arizona game is going to be a 9 total, I would take the over on 9. St. Louis money line. See, there's just not. It's not a 3-pick parlay today. Give me. I will say this. I will say just straight up. One of the bets that I like that I'm actually betting right now is St. Louis Cardinals minus 120 to beat the Tampa Bay Rays. So give me St. Louis minus 120. No 3-pick parlay. There's a 13-game slate on Friday. We'll have a morning grind game. We'll have a morning grind 3-pick parlay. I hope everyone has a fantastic Thursday. Stevie, what do you think of Kyle Busch top 10 at Richmond? I mean, listen, I'll say this. It's really hard to bet Kyle Busch in general right now because like there's just something with this team right now. It's really lacking overall speed. So, I mean, it's not something I would look at. I haven't when I get done with the show is when I'm gonna prep for the Action Network NASCAR podcast Running Hot that I do with Nick. So I haven't looked at a ton of lines. I've looked at a lot of data. I mean, I think the Toyota is going to be really fast for what it's worth. Kyle Larson was really good. Martin Truex Jr. was really good. Just in general, I will say earlier this week, I don't know if it's still available. On Monday, I bet William Byron minus 110 for a top 10 because I will bet William Byron at just about any racetrack for a top 10 at minus 110. So there's that. I think Bubba has some potential for a good race this weekend. Josh Berry drove through the field, was really good here earlier this year. So yeah, there you go. Little NASCAR here on this Thursday. Again, hope everyone has a fantastic Thursday. Back Friday talking baseball. Good luck, everyone. We'll see you then.